to you guys how to become a high performer. And big reason about this is because, as an ex-high school teacher, I was teaching biology, mostly sciences, and kind of realized that we're not taught how to actually perform at a high level in school. We're not taught about money, and you're not taught about investing at all. Like, who here, raise them hands, was taught how to create their own financial statement in school? Yeah, we got Bryce, that's about it. If you're in my classrooms, you probably were taught that because I actually teach that. That being said, the three kind of steps to becoming a high performer are, the first step is all high performers understand that you need to identify and delete your limiting beliefs. The second step to becoming a high performer is all these high performers have what's called non-negotiables, things that they need to do regardless if they feel good about it or not. And then finally, the last thing I've noticed with high performers is that they have excellent and high-level networking skills. So before I kind of go into those three, I kind of want to just explain a little bit of my background so you know a little bit who I am. I started as an ex-high school teacher, like I mentioned, and before I actually struggled with like immense social anxiety. Like for me to even say hi to someone was basically impossible. I remember sitting on a bus, I missed my bus stop. I thought that everyone knew that I missed my bus stop. I thought everyone thought I was like some sort of idiot. And then my hands got all clammy. I got super nervous. Waited 6 stops before actually getting off the bus stop and then like just walking back. That was a point where I realized I probably need to work on this if I wanted to become a high school teacher. This was already in university when I was dealing with this. And that's when I kind of realized there's a better way to learn. And there's actually people out there that have dealt with this problem. They figured out the money game. They also weren't bored into money. And this is going to kind of segue to the first aspect of high performers is that they identify and then delete their limiting beliefs. So when I first learned about limiting beliefs, it was empowering because then I kind of realized I don't have to just believe what school teaches, what mom and dad teach, and what the society teaches. Shout out to my mom and dad for showing up. They actually did an amazing job. That being said, we're just accepting what we're taught when we're younger. You're not really taught to question things, especially if you're not born into money. There's a lot of mindset pieces and limiting beliefs that we will just hold. So the first kind of step, if you have limiting beliefs, and most of us probably do, is first you got to identify this. So how to identify this limiting belief is anytime you find this belief coming into your head that you can't do something, you're not good enough, it's too hard, you are not meant to have this sort of success, that's a sign you have a limiting belief. And all high performers have this. The difference is that they know how to transcend that and get over it and then replace it. So first part is just identifying what's this limiting belief. What's this belief that keeps popping in your head? Maybe it's this idea that you're not good enough, you don't deserve to win, you don't deserve to be in real estate, let's say, for whatever reason. Once you identify this, and this is going to be something that you'll see as I go through this talk, is I'm going to actually give you guys a little bit of homework to do. Yeah, teacher within me. First step is once you identify it, next is ask yourself and actually write this down. What would my life look like if I fully buy into this belief? What could your life look like if you truly believe that you're not good enough, you're not meant to be rich and wealthy, and you're just meant to work till the day you die? So once you put this down in a list, then you want to take the opposite side. What would happen if you chose to believe something different? Again, what could your life look like? Think about all the things you could actually accomplish. And the beauty is once you go through this process is you'll realize that that old limiting belief, not only is it not true, but it's also no longer serving you. And that's the first step to getting a new limiting belief. Then you want to do what's called a truth is statement. This is something I learned from one of my own coaches, Craig Ballantyne. He's amazing at productivity. He's coached many millionaires, even billionaires at this point. And the truth is statement is, we'll say the truth is, you replace the old limiting belief with something that is more true and serves you more. And then you're going to say because, and you're going to write down every single proof that you've seen within yourself, within others, and then even people you've seen online of why that new belief is true. So I actually had the limiting belief that I could never get rich, I could never step away from a job, and I would just work forever, and my money would go towards my family, help them retire, and I would just become a teacher forever. Then I kind of realized after closing my first deal that it was possible. Then I saw other teachers close deals and it was possible. Then I saw people in our community, like Manjit was closing a bunch of deals when I first started. And I was like, hey, if other people can do it, there's just more proof that I can do it as well. Once you find that limiting belief, replace that limiting belief with something that serves you more, then you'll kind of have what's called, you're noticing your reticular activation system. It's called your RAS. If you haven't heard of your RAS, again, the homework piece for everyone, I highly suggest you spend the next 3 to 6 months, even 15 minutes a day, just exploring what your RAS is. Again, it's your reticular activation system. And what that means is it's a simple way that it's like your attention system. If you ever you're walking down the street and then like a nice fast car goes by, usually people's attention goes there. It's because we find value in that. And the idea is that we don't believe what we perceive, we actually perceive what we believe. So if you think you're not good enough to do real estate, if you think you're not good enough to help your parents retire, get to the next level, then you're going to find every excuse to make that happen. Versus if you start actually believing it's possible, you'll find not only more proof of that, but you'll continue to move towards that proof. That's the first step, identifying limiting beliefs. Next step is having what's called non-negotiables. A non-negotiable is something that you need to do regardless of how you feel. And it's something I've noticed.
What's up, YouTube? Thanks so much for all your support. If you're loving this kind of content and you want to help us make more, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I appreciate you guys so much. We would not be able to do this YouTube journey without you. So thanks so much. If you haven't subscribed already, don't be a ninja watcher. Hit that subscribe button right there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Notice with almost every high performer is that they have non-negotiables around health, wealth, relationships, and then passions or adventures. One thing I learned was that, and I had the opportunity to sit with 2 billionaires in my life so far, had dinner with them, and at dinner, you would think they're talking about deals and money and stuff. They're not. They were talking about wealth. These guys wanted to live past 120 if possible, and they just talked about how they could optimize health, what they were eating, how much exercise they were getting, and then what kind of supplements they were actually taking. And this is kind of the non-negotiable I try to implement, in that every day, regardless of how I feel, I'm fitting in 15 to 45 minutes of working out. I see Marlu all the time, his posts every morning. He's jumping in an ice bath, and then he's getting his workout in at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, super inspiring, but it also shows that, hey, he's on a path to become a high performer. It doesn't matter if he wakes up feeling like crap or he feels awesome, he's gonna work out, non-negotiable. Then when it comes to wealth, some non-negotiables are, if you're running a business or you're serious about your money, most likely you have a certain amount of money that you need to make every single month. Okay? Otherwise, your business goes down the drain. That's like your break even, that's your operating expenses. You need to make that much or else this journey doesn't continue. That's essentially a non-negotiable. You're not gonna go to your team and be like, hey, I didn't make enough money, I guess you guys are gone tomorrow. Like, you actually are responsible for more people than just yourself. Then it comes on to the relationships. And this is something I learned from one of my own mentors as well, is having non-negotiable date night. For the ones that are married or in a committed relationship, every single week, they're carving it in their calendar. It's minimum an hour, up to X amount of time, maybe 3 hours, where you're having date night every single week. That's your support system. If you ask most people in the room why they actually want to build wealth, it's for family. We don't do this for ourselves. We don't even get to take this in the grave anyway. Now, for the single people, not to ignore you, is you're still going to have that mandatory date night. It's just now it's going to be maybe you're meeting new people, seeing what actually fits with maybe the high performance lifestyle you're trying to create, and you're just making time for that. I see John laughing because I think John has like date night every night, but
I like date night.
yeah, date night's not bad, eh? Can't go wrong, it's fun. And then finally, the adventure aspect. Like you still need to pour into your passions and have adventure in your life to be a high performer. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in the business. You might start resenting it and you might forget why we're actually doing this. So it's like going back to sit down and imagine your childhood. What were those things, those tasks, those activities that you just found yourself getting lost in? Reconnect back to that. That fuels your cup. It fills it back up and allow you to have that cup that runneth over, that you can continue to give back to your clients, your community. So you're actually doing something you enjoy. For me, it's like drawing and writing. Something I always loved, love reading, so I try to fit that in every single day. Now, the last kind of step to becoming a high performer is that high level networking skills. This ability to connect with people, see how you can actually offer them value. And it doesn't necessarily mean you got to be able to come up on stage like this and do a speaking event, maybe if that's part of your goals, but just being able to put yourself out there, because the more conversations you're having is the more people you can help, the more problems you can actually solve. So I actually spent about 5 days in Miami learning from one of the top coaches when it came to networking. And something that I learned was that they had 6 steps to essentially reducing that social anxiety when it comes to networking. Because, sometimes going to an event like this can be intimidating, right? Especially, I know for me, if I don't talk to anyone for like 4 days and I'm just like in my room, in my computer, just like working the whole time, I'm gonna have a hard time just going up and just speaking to someone. So the 6 steps that I kind of learned out in Miami for networking was, the first one was to just talk to everyone. The moment you walk in, just say hi to everyone. Maybe you noticed that I did that today. I was just saying hi to everyone. Even just quick conversations, it gets you out of your head, and then now you're open to actually connecting with people. The second step is to not judge ourselves. If you ever find yourself at a networking event and then after you're like exhausted and tired, it's most likely because you're sitting there thinking about, oh, like, what do I say? Should I say this? Should I say that? Like, you're too busy judging yourself that you can't necessarily just like be yourself and connect with people. Right? This is called that judgment fatigue. It actually tires you out. Third step to increase your networking skills is to be able to essentially find something funny with each interaction. Everyone you talk to, find something funny that happened, and then it'll just make that connection between networking is fun. What are we actually doing? We're just talking to other humans. It's when we put this like pedestal and this like nervousness around networking that makes it difficult. Realistically, we're just saying hi, being like, hey, like, what are you up to? How can I help? Or what are you interested in? Maybe we're interested in the same things. Fourth step is to essentially reduce the time in between interactions. So you don't want to get caught talking to someone and then all of a sudden you're just like sitting in a corner. We all see those people. Maybe if you guys go bars and clubs still, they just like sit there with their drink in hand and then they just scan the room. That will get you stuck in your head very quickly. Instead, after you finish a conversation, jump into another one, right? As you do this, this will create that momentum. So now you have no nervousness of just like talking to people. Fifth one is take it further than the last interaction. All that means is that if you're speaking to someone for maybe the beginning of the night, it's like 2 minutes. Next person, take it a little bit longer. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Next person, take it even longer. Now it's maybe 10 minutes. I was actually doing this to get ready for speaking up here. I don't have to be here for 20. I should probably speak to a bunch of other people to kind of get those nerves out. And then finally, the last thing you can do to improve your networking skills and add to that high performance toolbox that you have is sometimes you just got to burn it to the ground. Meaning there'll be nights where you're tired. There'll be nights where you don't want to show up to this. I was a little tired today. I had a long day. I could have had the excuse to just not show up, but that would be a disservice to you guys. And essentially, just push it to the very end. If you actually have a goal, let's say, maybe your goal of the networking event is to maybe have a deal that you want to wholesale, or maybe you have a coaching program you want to pitch to someone, or maybe you run a renovation company. Well, if you were just chatting with people, very personal, not so much business, near the end of the event, just try to pitch your service to someone. Worst case scenario, they say no. I don't think anyone here is going to tell you to F off. I think we're all kind of nice here. We're also Canadian, kind of the nicest people on the planet. But with those three kind of aspects, if you improve your networking skills to the point where you're comfortable meeting new people and knowing that you're actually offering value to them just by not being nervous pretty much and being yourself, if you're able to have these non-negotiables where each day you have these tasks that you know you'll accomplish, regardless of how you feel, you're improving health, wealth, relationships, and passions. And then finally, if you're actively finding these limiting beliefs and then replacing them, secret is all our beliefs are essentially going to be limiting. It's just how we improve these beliefs. So last thing I want to leave you guys is I gave you a little bit of homework, a little bit of tasks to do. You guys got to remember that knowledge is power, but only if you take action. Thanks so much. That's awesome.
The knowledge I had with real estate wasn't that great, and that's when I knew I needed a mentor to guide me through the steps of minimizing my mistakes and obtaining property. It kept me accountable with the limited time I had after the long hours at work. It taught me things I wouldn't have learned without a mentor.
Thank you to Patrick. Big help, helped me with pretty much everything ever since I started. So big shout out to Patrick and Alliance.
Nice. Yeah, Nick's an action taker, so we can help guide you, but you still got to do work, and Nick is a testimonial for that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Patrick, for this program. It changed my life. It changed my mindset. It changed everything. That was the best six weeks of my life.
I just want to give a shout out to my man Patrick. Just honestly been one of the best teachers that I've ever had.
It's a very informative course. Patrick works with you one-on-one, so if there's any questions or anything you might be doubting or you're uncertain of, he'll definitely be there to help. Honestly, highly suggest this course. It's taught me a lot through my journey.